I'm resident of Collinwood for YouTube. Joel Saints. This is my buddy. I'm an obsessed Halloween fan here. We're gonna talk Halloween. More specifically, so they're gonna do a TV series. And they're going to go off John Carpenter's original Halloween. So they're going to go off the night he came home, which I assume means no sister connection, which, okay, I'm good for that. Where would you like to see them specifically pick up? Would you like to see them time jump again or pick up that very night?
I would like to see them pick up that very night.
Yeah.
I was reading about what they were going to do because I've been trying to keep up with this, like like where they're going to, what time period they're going to base it around, and I kept hoping that they were going to do sort of almost like a Smallville thing where they go back right to what was his name, Charlie, the one that
Charlie
did Brave
Bowles.
People, Charlie Bowles. I knew it started with a B. Maybe start off with Charlie Bowles and kind of build up to Michael, and maybe make,
Yeah.
I guess, make it a little more about the Shape and Haddonfield. But I mean, I'm fine with them doing that. Um, but I would like to know more about Michael's family, I guess, and just see, like what happens right after that night and his
Yeah.
time in the sanitarium, and like the little bits we got in the deleted scenes of the extended cut.
Yeah.
So I would
It,
like to see a little more of that.
yeah, it's weird because, like, as you well know, that there's two. I was explaining this to Gordon Amowski and Patrick that there are two versions of John Carpenter's Halloween. There's the theatrical version, but every now and again, sometimes some crazy cable network will show the televised version that was edited for television. That
Hmm.
John Carpenter just lost. I don't want to say lost his shit over, but he didn't like doing.
Right.
So it's like, and so the scenes you see were added by him. The we get that brief encounter where Loomis is talking to the doctors. And he's saying, no, you gotta move him to this different facility. This is just a minimum security. It won't hold him, and they're arguing it against it. He's like, well,
Hmm.
he doesn't speak, he doesn't move. Like, what he hasn't shown the things you're basically Loomis is trying to hint at.
Hmm.
And I love Donald Pleasance's line, and that is, "You fooled them, haven't you, Michael?
Yes,
But not me." And
that's
I
right.
think it's one of the best lines that ever got added to that, because that
Hmm.
I think when you watch the theatrical version, I'm going to get your thoughts on that too. That when you just watch the theatrical version, you can believe that Loomis knew something was up here.
Hmm.
You know, what did you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, like he was saying, that, that Michael did have everyone fooled. And
Yeah,
I think, like he was telling Sheriff Brackett, he said in many ways he's the ideal patient. He doesn't, cry. He doesn't, make any sound. He just sits there, just staring at the wall, staring through the wall, and he's no trouble. He's visibly no threat,
yeah,
to someone that doesn't know him the way that Loomis knows him. But Loomis knew exactly what they were dealing with. And yeah, I really liked the deleted scenes, and I love that boldness of him to call Michael out. And Michael, you knew Michael could hear him, and he knew exactly what he was talking about.
yeah. I think that I agree with you. I'm more. We've seen time jumps, right?
Hmm.
So I'd like to see the night, October 31st, 1978. Start off by showing Loomis's revolver. You hear the six gunshots. You bang, bang, bang.
Hmm.
And what you there, I would actually film it from Tommy and Lindsay's perspective, running away, because we know what happens. We
Right.
know what happens with Lori. That they do make it to the neighbors, and they say, "You got to call the police. You got to call the police. This man tried. Somebody tried to kill our babysitter, Lori Strode. At my house." And it's Tommy speaking. And remember, too, in John's Halloween, nobody knows publicly Michael's out, has escaped. They kept it quiet.
Right. They kept it quiet.
And, Loomis even said, no, don't tell the public, because they'll just see him everywhere, and he's probably right. But because I don't think Loomis is covering his ass. I just think he doesn't want to panic, and he can see that being the case. And do I understand Brackett's point of view too? Oh, hey, I need to tell the public, because hey, if there's really a maniac on my streets, sure.
And there's kids out this night. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And that's the thing too. We know that there are probably other people babysitting. What I'd love to see is somebody else babysitting the way Lori was, or the way Annie was, or something, and they see the sirens going down the street, going down towards Orange Grove, and they're on the telephone to one of their friends. She's like, "What's that? Is that sirens? Yeah, it's Halloween. Somebody probably took a prank too far."
Yeah.
Because what else would you think? And she goes, "Hey, I got to call you back. I need to go check the kids." So they have the phone. They go check kids. Everything's fine. They see another person. What the hell? They open the door. They're standing there, and coming from behind the house is Michael, and they don't see him. And he comes right up, and bam!
Yeah.
And, goes and help. Michael does get to kill kids on 78. He gets, nobody knew. And I do think you can get that sort of terror, too, that you can have one babysitter who's attacked the way Annie was, or not specifically the way she was, but like killed in her home and have the kids killed. Or you can have somebody, babysitting, and you have another survivor besides Lori, too. You can have that angle. What's something you want to see?
I would really like to see more of Michael Myers being a stalker. On that night, like after after Dr. Loomis shoots him off the balcony. I would like to see I don't know. Just feel like there's so many things I just would like to see. I would like to see them do something new, but at the same time, I don't want to erase Halloween 2 from canon again. So I'm like kind of split down the middle on it. But I would definitely like to see Michael stalking some after, he gets up off the ground. That's one thing I loved about Halloween 2 was getting to see him stalking through the neighborhood and hiding from Loomis and seeing him in the car and seeing them in pursuit, trying to find him. I definitely think, seeing a child killed in the series would be something to establish, like we're not playing by any rules. I think that's always a way to do it. We're not playing by any rules. You know, and I would like to see some things of I almost said Wincliffe. I would like to see Michael at Smith's Grove. Not necessarily the Rob Zombie way where he talks, but I would like to see a lot of interaction between him and like some flashback of him and Loomis trying to reach him.
I'm with you on the stalking heavily. I want to see that definitely after he gets shot, a lot. Have him stalk other people or trick-or-treaters who might still be out.
Mhm.
Something I want to see is when they nail his ass, when they arrest him, because I do think they're going to have him be caught.
Mhm.
Um, well, now they have to try him for these murders here,
Mhm.
because there are a whole new set of murders, and I want to see some hot shot defense attorney. Well, my client's crazy. I've tried to speak through to him several times, and he doesn't say shit. And you actually
Mhm.
do see the defense attorney trying to look. You know what? It's best if you don't talk because
Yeah.
it's like fucking like. Could you imagine some defense attorney trying to talk to Michael and you just hear the breathing and it's like,
Mhm.
dude, get the fuck out of that room.
Yeah. Even Saul Goodman couldn't pull that off.
Johnny Cochran, the late Johnny Cochran, would be like, you know what? I'm taking a rain check for this.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll pass.
Like, I'm good. Oh my god, bro, that would be insane. Uh,
Mhm.
I do something I do want to see too is something we saw in Halloween too. The green lighting that we got to see inside the police cars. I do hope we
Mhm.
get that somewhere, maybe inside vehicles or something. And maybe some blue lighting here or there,
Mhm.
like how they revealed Michael's face in the original when they panned
Yes.
in the dark. You know,
Mhm.
I do hope we get that somewhere in this series.
Mhm.
But I do think something that they're going to have to do is tell different aspects of survive, not just Lori, but other people who might have survived, and maybe somebody who faked an attack. You know, oh yeah, Michael attacked me, and here's the thing: they weren't babysitting anybody; they were home alone,
Mhm.
but they made themselves look like they got attacked.
Mhm.
I do I do think you're going to have something like that because you have to build the psychology. Wait a minute, somebody lied about being attacked.
Mhm.
And the reason they figure it out is because, well, okay, you have some scrapes, some bumps and bruises, but there's no, you know, Michael Myers in the original Halloween is a very clumsy killer at
Mhm.
times, especially with Laurie, more specifically.
Mhm.
Um, well, even Annie, it takes him a while to choke her, to kill her until he slashes her throat.
Yeah,
Like,
that was brutal too. I think that's an
yeah,
underrated kill.
yeah, it is. I'm with you. I think the most like direct kill is Bob. Like he was
Mhm.
the easiest, right? He was
Mhm.
picking him up like this. Um,
Mhm.
but when you watch Linda's death, even that's a bit clumsy because he's choking her and she's trying to fight it. She can't,
Mhm.
obviously. But then there's Lori, who that's Michael's biggest mistake. He he's I don't want to say he's overthinking it. I don't know. He could be. You know,
Mhm.
that's something we're not going to. I don't want them to have Michael talk. I'm with you, but I do want the sort of. I want the a detective analysis too from this.
Mhm.
Like in this,
That
like
would be good.
you know what I mean. We know what Loomis thinks about Michael. Okay, what does a detective, somebody who's trained to look at a crime scene, seeing the killer's um, not just the killer, how the killer was, killed these kids, but how did the killer mess up with Lori?
Mhm.
Because the one thing they're gonna see right away is, hey, that rape. Here's a killer who somehow. I want one of the detectives to analyze. Okay, this killer lured her upstairs. This son of a bitch walks downstairs, puts the rake up against the other door while the other door is locked, and comes back up.
Mhm.
Like that's insane. That's
Yeah.
you know, like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So I do hope we get some. I don't think we've ever really had a noir with Halloween. We've not really had a detective story with Halloween.
Right. And
So
that would be great too because the 70s was when they were really picking apart like serial killers and profiling them, and so that would be a great angle.
what's your favorite true crime story? Do you have one?
Oh man. I've always enjoyed, like, kind of picking apart the whole Jack the Ripper thing. Um,
Yeah.
that's always been one that I've gone back to. I don't know about my favorite, but there's there's a lot of them that really just pick my brain apart, like why,
Yeah.
and it's just like what is it that goes through their minds to calculate these things, um, for so long, and like I mean I know one is BTK,
Yeah.
because that was a long stretch before he started uh, doing it again, and he was just hiding in plain sight, and that that one terrifies me because I remember watching like his courtroom confessions and his testimony, just how callous he was when he was just describing the things he did. There was no, I mean, it was the closest thing I could think of to Loomis's description. There was just no emotion, no remorse. He was just like one note telling all these horrible, awful things he did, and there was just nothing there.
Mhm.
And that's one that I can remember, in my lifetime, that just really chilled me to the bone to listen to.
I remember being in school, and I think it was elementary school where I first learned true crime. And the two crimes I learned first about, one was DB Cooper,
Mhm,
which is just crazy.
mhm. Yeah.
Because you think about, unfortunately, you think about September 11th now, and, airport
Mm,
security in the 70s. Well, what you learn was there were a bunch of hijackings prior to Cooper and
mhm,
stuff, and attempted hijackings, and some of them just fell flat. Um,
mhm,
and here's this guy who uses Dan Cooper and boards a plane, says he has a bomb, shows he has a
mhm.
bomb. Somebody said, what would you have done if you were? I said, I told him, blow it. You're not getting that money. What's he going to do?
Right. Exactly.
Like, you want to take your, hey, if you want the prom date to Valhalla, go for it. Um,
Right.
I'm gonna quote Dennis Miller to him. No, but I do think
Right.
that it's crazy to think that really DB Cooper should have been the exclamation mark for airport security for all time, because
Yeah.
every mistake was made really with him first,
Mm,
long before September 11th ever came along.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
is really what you learn, and really the investigation into Cooper was no better.
Mhm,
Yeah, because everybody's got a theory of who he is, who he was, and it's like nobody's got any
mhm.
real concrete proof. Um,
Right.
then there was well, the second one was the Austin Bell, the what invented the school shooting, the Austin Bell Tower sniper.
Mhm,
And really, who deserves credit for? And I'm not taking anything away from the Texas police, but really, who deserves credit are the Texas citizens, because
mhm,
as he's shooting at citizens. Well, the natives of Texas go to their cars, and they're near their houses too. They go to their car because Texas is a carry state, and they get their guns and they start returning fire on that motherfucker, and they pinned his ass down.
mhm. Yeah.
Like, basic. And here's the thing: when he turned the other way, everybody else was too far away to hit. So they took
Mm,
all his targets away from him because he was being fired upon. And that's when the police finally got up there. Now he had cancer. Nobody, he wrote a note, test my brain. He had cancer. No, that's
mhm.
no excuse for what he did,
Yeah.
but it's crazy to think somebody, you know, do I think the cancer affected his brain to cause him to do that? Me personally, no. But I think sometimes people think about dying and they think, you know what, I'm not going to be the only one,
Mhm,
and that's a sad, way to think of it. But
mhm.
when you learn about true crime in school, it jars you because And I give a lot of credit to the teachers we grew up with, where you went to school or where I went to school. We went to different places, but they did try to teach you something. You know what I mean? But too, you had to do the work of the research of it. It wasn't just they
Right.
told you everything. You had to go to the library. You had to actually go to the goddamn library, which you should,
Yeah.
which should still be. It's like, and there was the computer, the internet wasn't what it was, so you had to look up books
Right.
about
Right.
people who wrote stuff about the crime and stuff. And that's like, and they said, "Can you quote me anything from the book?" And I said this to my teacher. I said, "Listen, there's some things I can't quote you because there's some profanity in some of them books.
Yep.
Like somebody called that guy up. You know what? I just won't say it.
Yeah.
you know, and I sort of wonder if that's something you're going to see with Halloween as well. Is somebody going to write a book about Michael Myers? Now we saw that with Rob's Halloween a bit, where Loomis wrote a book. I don't think it'd be Loomis, but maybe if they have a detective, maybe one of the detectives writes about the crime. We don't know. I do think there's a lot of meat on the bone of what they're going to do in an attempt. Because again, this is all supposed to lead to this is the start of the cinematic universe, I guess, or the attempt of it. Now, the good thing is Michael's never been resurrected, literally, brought back to life. They're just rebooting the franchise. We've had Jason brought back to life. Bro, that's something I want to ask you. Bro, what did you think of them electrocuting Jason's ass back to life?
I thought it was kind of cool, of course, like a callback to Frankenstein. So, I mean, if you're going to bring him back from the dead, why not? So go for it. And I actually love the way that Tom Savini, like with each movie, he decayed more and more, and Tom Savini did amazing effects on Jason every movie, following how he decayed more and more and became more grotesque, as time passed. So I'm going to give a big shout out to Tom Savini for that. But yeah, I loved it, bringing him back to life that way. I thought it was kind of cool.
I want to. I'm waiting for the day in the Halloween franchise where they actually kill Michael and bury his ass the way they did Jason, and someone brings Michael back to life. And instead of using electricity, somebody takes the Dan Curtis route and uses voodoo or some shit.
Yeah.
Like just witchcraft or something. Now, I think that's the thing too. Like, because we're all familiar with like the Dark Shadows way or the Frankenstein way, as you just said. But if you're going to imply a way of bringing someone back, yeah, the Frankenstein way is the simplest. The electric, because Tommy Jarvis takes that big metal thing and he stabs Jason. And I like what the one guy says. He goes, "Wow, that guy fucked you up." Like, no shit, Slick.
Yeah.
And then the electricity hits, and you see the electrodes like going through Jason's body. His eye pops open. It's like, well, that escalated quickly.
Yes. Yes.
I like.
Yes.
I'll
It
tell
took
you what I like.
1.21 gigawatts to bring Jason back.
Like, hey, wait, I can use my car battery to bring Jason back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too. I love the fact most of that, because remember in part 5, Tommy dreams about that, like a premonition, almost like two people digging Jason up, and his dream is Jason is buried with his machete, which we know that's not going to happen. That I always waited for a comedian in the '80s, and I'm surprised no one did make the joke. Yeah, Jason wrote that right before they capped him in the skull. Bury me with my machete, please.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, that's just setting yourself up.
right? And it's like, so I like in part 5 how little Tommy Jarvis dreams it,
Mhm.
and in part 6 they make the dream a reality, but it's Tommy who's doing it.
Mhm.
He doesn't see the irony of it as an adult.
Right. Right.
There's my question for you. With Michael Myers, let's say somebody, they kill him again and they bury him. How would you want him to be brought back to life?
Definitely not the way that they brought Freddy back in Nightmare 4, where they had a dog pee on his ashes and it brought him back to life. Let's see. Uh, Probably, I would like something with the Cult of Thorn.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I would like to keep it dark and keep it have some mysticism around it, like with the Cult of Thorn.
yeah. That would be interesting too, because they would be familiar
Mhm.
with how to bring someone back. You would think too,
Mhm.
or at least they would have the research technology to, or how to go about it, right?
Mhm.
So that would be interesting.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever seen what is it, Absolute Evil?
No, I haven't.
It's a fan film. I'll send it to you. Uh,
Okay.
it's really, it's basically a Halloween documentary. Like it's a Halloween documentary fan film. It's treated like
Oh, cool.
it's treated like a true crime. Um,
That's amazing.
and how they end it is, it's like, well, because in every fan film you see Michael Myers, right?
Mhm.
Well, how they get Michael Myers in their story is through found footage.
Mhm.
So,
That's awesome.
Jesus Christ. Oh my god. It's like Michael's mask is all burnt up from from resurrection and shit. It's like, these cats are crazy, but I enjoy it. Because bro, there's these ghost hunters that are in the
Excuse me.
hospital.
Mhm.
Bless you. There's these ghost hunters that are in the hospital, they paranormal investigative, and they separate like a bunch of jackasses. And as soon as they separate, like, it's gonna go bad.
Yes. Yes.
And
Much like the ending of Halloween 6,
yeah,
when
yeah.
he was going after all of them at the end. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Michael walks in with a machete. Yes, holy shit. Um,
Yes.
did you ever see Halloween 6, the uncut version?
Yeah. Yeah. I've got
Yeah,
the
yeah.
producer's
It's
cut. Yeah.
yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Um, I like the fact that there's more stalking in, because there is stalking in the theatrical version, but there's more stalking in the uncut version, um, than there is in the theatrical version.
Yeah.
Um, Let me think. I'm trying to think of a question to ask you with Halloween. Who would you want to play Michael Myers?
Oh, man. Um, Honestly, I don't know, but I would like for it to be someone I don't know.
Yeah,
Because I think with Michael, I've always liked the less you know about him, the more scary he is. So I wouldn't want to know anything about who's playing him. Now, I definitely know who I would like to be a Loomis character, Bill Russell. He's been in a lot of horror films and like a lot of indie horror films.
man.
Uh, he's even appeared as like Loomis characters before in the full dress, the trench coat and everything, and
Yeah,
he's amazing. He's a really good actor.
yeah. I Now for Michael, I'm gonna channel John Carpenter here when he said to Nick Castle, Nick, just walk, and he liked Nick Castle's walk. Um,
Mhm.
Hayden Christensen. I mean, I love his walk as Anakin. Uh,
Oh
I
yeah,
I mean, when
that
I
is a
saw
good. That's a
when
good one.
when I saw him walk, and you've seen Revenge of the Sith, where he walks as Darth Vader, or even as Anakin Skywalker, he looks like
Mhm.
fucking Michael Myers without the mask. Uh,
I never even thought about that. I
it's
like that.
like what's like like I'd love to ask, hey Christian, hey, before you did that scene, did you watch John Carpenter's Halloween at all?
Yeah.
I'd love to ask him that. He'll probably tell me no, and I believe him. But still, I just think he's a great actor, first of all, and
Yeah.
I don't want to just put him behind a mask, but he's somebody who's so talented who could do Michael Myers easily.
Mhm. He's got a good physicality
Yeah,
that he brings. So yeah,
yeah. Um,
absolutely.
I would though now for other medicinal purposes. Um, I, I'd love for him to do the Shadow. Definitely,
Mhm,
he would nail that fucking role in a heartbeat. Um,
mhm,
him or Adam Driver, whoever they want to get, I don't care. Pick one,
mhm.
and
Yeah.
only one.
Mhm,
That's the thing too, though. With the Shadow, you're going to need a lot of extras
mhm,
for one, the Shadow's agents, and for the Shadow forming all other identities because he shifts his face around a lot. He can
mhm,
be anybody. Um, for Loomis, I don't know. I think there's the guy I wanted. He's about to be. He just got cast as Lex Luthor
mhm,
in the new Superman movie. So I think
mhm.
he's out. I think he'll be too busy.
Yeah.
um, he played Renfield in the movie Renfield.
Oh, what was his name? Shoot. Yeah, he was great. I loved him as the Beast in the X-Men
Yeah,
franchise. Yeah,
yeah.
he's an amazing actor.
Now I'd want him as a younger Loomis. I should specify. Uh,
Mhm,
but I don't know about older Loomis. I haven't really scoured the actor pool for older
mhm,
actors.
mhm.
Um, I think my suggestion to them is pick somebody who looks like Donald Pleasance enough. You know.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, if you check out Bill Russell, he's on Instagram.
yeah.
Um, I think he's played one of the recent things he played was Anton LaVey,
Uh,
and he was like an older Anton LaVey, and he's he could really ham it up. I think he would be an amazing Loomis. So
yeah.
yeah, you should definitely look up the guy. He's a great follow and very interactive with fans and horror fans. So yeah, I definitely recommend following.
Man. Uh, so not only is the Chucky series still going, but there's going to be another Child's Play movie from Don Mancini. What are your thoughts on
I would be willing to give it a try.
that? Yeah.
Um, I liked it. I thought it was I mean, I was never really a big Child's Play fan, but I really liked it, and I like Mark Hamill doing the voice of Chucky. I
Yeah.
thought he did a really good job.
I like when we were kids, like when Child's Play first happened. I never remember seeing a good guy doll at Toys R Us, and KB. I remember when KB Toys opened up in the mall. And
Ah,
KB
yes,
KB
good
Toys
times.
decides, so you know what? Let's have a Chucky doll.
Mhm,
What the harm? What's the harm? And
mhm,
some kid walks in and sees the Child's Play doll and says, "Hi, I'm Chucky," because it's got a
mhm,
sensor in it and shit. And this kid runs out to his mother like there's no tomorrow. And I'm just
mhm,
like,
mhm.
well, there goes that product.
Yeah, for sure.
I I I I think it was my mother who asked the one man. She goes, "Can I ask you something? What are you in your right mind?" What the fuck? Oh my god!
That's
Uh,
awesome. Well, let
good.
me ask you something. What would you think about like because of course there are going to be some new characters in the
Yeah.
series. What would you think about like any of the legacy actors like from the original Halloween coming in as different people like say Tom Atkins or Tommy Lee Wallace, uh, Nancy Loomis. them showing up somewhere in the series.
I would love their. You know how Dark Shadows has the narrations, obviously, you
Mhm.
character narration. I would love for Tommy Lee Wallace to return for something like that,
Yes.
or at least direct an episode. Tommy Lee
Hmm.
Wallace can still direct.
Yeah.
Uh, Nancy Loomis could still act. I mean, why not
Hmm.
have her do a voiceover or something
Hmm.
for just for radio or something, like as a radio
Hmm.
host.
Hmm.
Um, I don't mind that. Just don't overdo it for like each episode or a season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Space it out where it's not so obvious.
Hmm.
Um, I tell you who I'd love. Uh, I'd love to see. I'm trying to think of his name. Who I think someone, yeah, one character I'm trying to think of, not from Halloween. I'd like to the guy. I'd like to see Rohan Campbell.
Yes.
Um, and I'm not saying this in a negative way to the person who's doing the Crow. Rohan Campbell should have got a chance to play the Crow.
Hmm.
Um, but I know he didn't. I know someone else is. But there are parts he could play that are out there for him.
Hmm.
I would love.
Yeah. He's an amazing actor.
Yeah, he's. I think sometimes actors get saddled with roles that are just like, hey, but he's a
Hmm.
good actor though. He sold it.
Hmm.
Um, I'd love to see him in Dark Shadows. If Mark B. Perry is in The Sound of My Voice,
Hmm.
uh, yeah, you very
Yes.
talented actor, Brian Campbell is.
Hmm.
Uh, he's got a bright future too. I do hope people
Yeah.
cast stuff. I do think legacy characters are important to have. Just don't overuse them, or
Hmm.
make sure they're not playing a character. Like, here's a great example. If you see Nancy Loomis, who obviously was killed as Annie, make
Hmm.
sure that you explain what character they're playing, and that, hey, don't you look like that? No, I'm not that girl. No, that bitch is dead.
Right.
You know,
Right. Right.
because you need clarification for fans, I think too.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think I've told you this before. The person who I would have loved to have seen as Victoria Winter's daughter was Danielle Harris. But I don't
Yeah.
know, great, knows how to act. Um, a movie, what's that movie? I can't think of it. I think it's called Daylight that she's in. Her character gets killed with Sylvester Stallone goes down in like the
Yes. The
tunnel.
tunnel. Hmm.
Yeah, good movie. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, legacy characters are important, and I
Hmm.
think as long as you space them out and understand that it's more so about like the legacy actors playing different parts.
Yeah.
Don't have them play the same parts. Have them play different parts for different reasons, and explain, hey, I'm not playing that character. That
Hmm.
hey, aren't you? No, I'm this person, and don't compare me to that bitch. She's dead, or compare me to this person.
Right.
Dead.
Hmm.
Now, to your point of getting into Bowles, um, Charlie Bowles, I do think they need to. Yes,
Hmm.
somewhere in this series, there needs to be sort of, okay, 15 years ago, 1963, Michael murdered his sister. 15 years ago, 1963, Halloween night, Charlie Bowles murdered his family.
Hmm.
What's the connection?
Do you think that he should be in Smith's Grove,
Well, he
or do you
killed
think he
him.
should be dead by this time?
Well, I think he killed himself, is the implication. I think.
Right.
If
Right.
I'll have to go, I'm literally tomorrow going to put in John Carpenter's Halloween and rewatch it. But from everything, this is all your
Hmm.
fault. No, you're an enabler. You're an enabler, and I love you for it. Uh, but I think from every implication, but because the guy gets cut off by Loomis, but I think the
Hmm.
implication is he took a tool and killed himself. He did what Corey Cunningham did in a sense. I think. I don't think he did
Hmm.
exactly what Corey did. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But I think he did something similar where he killed himself.
Hmm.
Um, is what happened to. I think that's really what they were trying to explain with Corey. This is what happened. This is what happened to Charlie Bowles. Without, could they have gone into Charlie Bowles too? Sure. But they didn't. But I think their explanation made sense. But I also think, from a Charlie Bowles standpoint, okay, Charlie Bowles kills himself. Michael doesn't, obviously. But there's got to be something there. Is there a connection, or isn't there? Was it because John Carpenter didn't deal in coincidence; he dealt in fate. So, but are the detectives going to connect the dots? Are they going to say, you know what? Because here, let's be honest, too. With Charlie, and I love that the fact that they mentioned someone else doing the killing. A middle-aged man killing their family is nothing new.
Right.
Even in the 70s, and I hate to say that. But a 6-year-old kid killing his sister is
unheard of.
Yeah, unheard of. And I think that's why Michael got all the limelight. You know, because what's the bigger story? A 6-year-old killing his sister, or a middle-aged man who just lost his shit?
Right.
You know, it's sad to think of that, because you do hear that in real life, where a middle-aged man just goes crazy, and kills people, or kills his family, or just kills complete strangers. But a young 6-year-old killing people, killing his sister. I would like there to be an explanation of where was Michael's parents, seriously, during were they at the movies, were they at a dance, where the hell were they, seriously?
Right.
How dare you leave your kid alone, and your other kid's trying to have sex, and you come home too quick? What's wrong with you?
Right.
What's wrong with you? I'll tell you what, if Michael, I love this. I should have, when I wrote Hell on Halloween Night, I should have wrote a sequence where Michael was transferred, but the orders were crossed, and he did end up on Wyncliffe, and he got out there, and that's how he went up in Collinsport instead of following John Tate.
Yes.
Oh my God! But I wasn't thinking about that.
You could always go back and add that in if you want to, like an alternate take on it. Go for it.
Well, here's the thing. When I did underneath the full moon, which was my Friday the 13th Dark Shadows crossover, I think I'm out of my fucking mind. First of all, for writing it, and it's like, second of all, it's like I'm having Chris Jennings go up against Jason Voorhees. No, I'm having the werewolf go up against Jason Voorhees. This is just insane. Of course, I'd commit this girl. She said she saw a werewolf. Poor kid. At the end, he gets committed. Oh my God.
That's awesome.
I do think one day they do need to have a versus where it's Jason versing a werewolf. I do think they need to have that happen, because it's just too easy. It was easy. Listen, if I can write it, then there's a Hollywood writer out there better than what I did. Like seriously, it's not that hard to do, because here's this guy who can't die. You know, he keeps stalking the campground. Maybe somebody goes up there and is a werewolf and figures, I'll get away from civilization. That's what Chris Jennings went up there for. He wanted to get away from civilization. Unfortunately, no one told him that people still go up there because they're crazy and stupid. They're all about all those premarital teens.
Right.
There needs to be. I always thought, like, when the Wayans brothers came out with Scary Movie, I always kept waiting for them to do the camp parody, where they were just going to put the sign, teens who come here to have premarital sex come here to die as well. And I was kept waiting for them to make that, and they never did.
Definitely missed opportunity.
like they told every other joke. Like seriously,
Mhm.
it's like why? Um,
Mhm.
really, they became the modern day Abbott and Costello.
Mhm.
I kept waiting for the Wayans brothers to show up in a Halloween movie or some shit, and that
Mhm.
because really, look, if Bela Lugosi, who was dedicated to Dracula and be playing the part and stuff, and they had the Invisible Man, the Wolf Man. If all those actors can lighten up and be in a comedy with Abbott and Costello,
Yeah.
come on, the slashers can lighten up and be in a comedy with the Wayans brothers or
Oh
somebody.
yeah.
You know,
Absolutely. Mhm. Mhm.
really the biggest missed opportunity when the movie came out was they should have did a parody with Scream and the Jerky Boys, where the Jerky Boys were calling the Scream killer. Fuck.
I love it.
What
I love it.
should have been that. Oh my god, dude. Oh my god.
I love it.
Now I know they're going to do the Friday the 13th prequel series on Peacock.
Mhm.
What do you hope to see there?
Um. Oh, jeez. Mm, I guess a little more connective tissue between 1 and 2, because 2 is my favorite, and the whole thing that Jason wasn't really dead,
Yeah.
I would like to see a little bit about that, but, I mean, no one can ever do what Betsy Palmer did, but
Oh,
hopefully have a little more of Jason's mom and,
yeah.
just have a little bit, a deep dive into her and the aftermath and uh, of the the first kill
Yeah.
when they closed the camp down.
I'm trying to think of an actress who was because when they did Mrs. Voorhees, they were always going to use a television actress.
Mm.
And at the time, I tell you who they initially wanted was Alice from Brady Bunch. They initially thought about her, and they're like, "No,
Really?
yeah." They offered it to her. She goes, "No, I'm not doing it." Uh,
Wow.
could you imagine? But you know, Betsy Palmer had been in some westerns. She had been on a television star too, in her own
Mhm.
right. And they asked her, "Would you do it?" And she goes, "Yeah, if you get me a new car, I'll do it. I'll do it because I need the money for a new car." And so they said, "Sure." And that's how
Hmm.
she got Mrs. Voorhees, but she did a great job
Mhm.
playing the part. I
Mhm.
if somebody would ask me years ago, like during the 80s, like who would you have cast if they were rebooting it then? I would have said the woman who played Mama from Mama's Family.
Mhm.
Because I believe she could have did it.
Mhm. I do
Yeah,
too.
but that's just it. All the actors that I can think of now are too old to play Mrs. But I mean,
Mhm.
Mrs. Voorhees was a middle-aged woman.
Mhm.
But I'm trying to think of an actress more today that was on my television in the '90s that would be middle-aged and willing to do the part. Because
Mhm.
that's the thing too. You're asking an actress to play a killer. To
Mhm.
and sometimes with actresses or actors, it can be, you know what? No, even they know it's fiction, but maybe they don't, they're not in acting anymore, and they just don't want to take that leap to play a
Mhm.
killer. I would more. I'm trying to think of the actress who, um, God, I can't think of her name, but I do think they do need to hire a television actress to play uh, Pamela. With Jason drowning,
Mhm.
I think we're going to learn Jason never really drowned.
Mhm.
You know, but though too, there's like there's different definitions of drowning. Like Butch was saying this when we did like way back Friday the 13th. He said you can drown and someone can save your life and resuscitate you, but you still technically drowned. Um,
Mhm.
which is true. Um, but I really think what it's going to be is somebody's gonna come out, and I think it's gonna be Betsy, not Betsy Palmer, but Mrs. Voorhees herself. Where's my son? Where's my son? And she's gonna see the lake and just assume he drowned. Whereas in modern day times, if you'd see a kid go missing, they'd be a missing 411 case, missing child case. Yeah, they'd
Mhm.
search the lake, they'd drag the lake, sure.
Mhm.
Um, and when that's going to be the interesting thing too. Who's going to be their Mrs. Voorhees most of all? I don't know. I just whoever you find somebody. The actress I'm thinking of now, I think, is really too pretty to play the part. But Tress, I'm going to butcher her name, Tracy Helfer, the girl who was in Battlestar Galactica, would probably be old enough now to do it.
Mhm.
But another actress who was on that show, who was in Halloween Resurrection, who could pull it off, is a girl who played the female Starbuck. She was the blonde haired girl in Halloween Resurrection.
Katie
Um,
Sackhoff.
yeah, Katie Sackhoff. Thank you. I think she could do it if she wanted to. But again, it's all in who they cast. I think again, there's a lot of meat on the bone to tell a Jason prequel. Um,
Mhm.
because what's the legend of the Christies is that of Steve Christie's family is they went nuts and they went
Mhm.
broke. Well, I believe they went broke, but did they really go nuts? Did they go crazy? You know,
Mhm.
that's another you know whole aspect of it. Um, Now, if they get into Jason, who would you cast as Jason? If they say, hey, we're gonna have Jason Voorhees.
Ooh. Ooh, that's a good one. Um, okay, so for Jason as an adult, um, I'm only saying this because I just saw him in the Roadhouse remake, but I think was it Conor Gregor or
Conor
Conor
McGregor.
McGregor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he would be a good Jason because that man is like enormous. I can't imagine having a frame that big.
No, I can't either. It's huge. Um, I don't know what they're looking for from a state. Like, are they making Jason tall again? Obviously.
Mhm.
Um, if they're going like the how tall he is, like he's 6'8" or some shit, I'd cast a wrestler
Mhm.
because a lot of wrestlers are tall. Um, I would. I can't think of his name. I would cast Braun Strowman, who was a pro
Mhm.
wrestler. I don't know what kind of stunt experience he's had other than being body slammed. Um,
Mhm.
but his physical work should be okay. I mean,
Mhm.
depending on what they're looking for, I don't know. I could see them going the route of bringing back some of the older Jasons to play Jason. They could do that.
Mhm.
Um, CJ Graham is still in good shape.
Mhm.
Be Jason or Kane Hodder. That'd be everybody's wet dream. Bring Kane back.
Mhm.
So I could see that if they were wanting to do that route. I just hope that they, at the end of the day, because to me, Jason isn't going to be hard replay. It's going to be Betsy Palmer's character. It's going to be the toughest to find.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think that's gonna. I'd say both. That's the challenge. Halloween and Friday the 13th face. Friday the 13th faces the challenge of replacing Betsy Palmer, and Halloween faces the challenge of replacing Donald Pleasance. But I also think, too, you have other characters you could focus on, too, right away. Like, you could make new characters to focus on before you could actually have to cast that part, or, you don't have, to me, you don't have to show Loomis right away. Because we know what happens in the house with Laurie, right? You don't have to show Pamela right away. Well, actually, I take that back. I'm wrong. You might, because I think it's Pamela who actually thinks that her son did drink. So that's I would suspect that it's going to be Pamela coming out the kitchen. Jason, shut up, lady. So, oh my god. Is there
how many seasons would you want this to go? Because obviously we wouldn't want it to get too long in the tooth, but what would you think would be a good run for the Halloween series?
For Halloween, 4 or 5 seasons. At least 4 if you're doing 1978. But you need to, I think it'll be longer than that, because I think they're going to get into the depths of, I'd like to think they're smart enough to get into the depths of criminology here, because this is a crime. Jason, what happens to Jason isn't a crime yet. What Pamela does, now that's a crime, but nobody knows she's doing it. Nobody, but they think it's cursed, right? And everybody thinks it's a curse. It's got a death curse. Crazy.
We gotta see Crazy Ralph.
Crazy. Gotta see Crazy Ralph. You know who I'd cast as Crazy Ralph? The dad from the My 70s show. I would cast him as Crazy Ralph.
Yes.
I would cast him as Crazy Ralph. That would be my Crazy Ralph. I think if you pay him, he'd do it. I don't know. But that's my Crazy Ralph, because he could pull it off. Really easily. Now, if you're going, I think too, because Crazy Ralph didn't come across as like a Southern, guy. So I don't think you want somebody with a Southern accent. But I do think that choice I threw out there is pretty good. But who would you want as Crazy Ralph?
Oh man, I hate to say it, but I agree with you. I can't think of any. Once you put that out there, I can't think of anybody else that I'd rather see it in a role. So
and here's the thing: they could have him get into this makeup where he looks like Crazy Ralph, but it's him, obviously, and it's got a curse. It's got a death curse. Yeah. Oh God, I can see it now. Send your hate tweets to that. Call what up. Is there anything you want to add before we go?
I can't think of anything, man. Thank you so much for having me back. It's so good to be back and talking to you again.
Oh, dude, we got to get together with Daniel and do something for sure. Let me know when you're off, and then we'll, and we'll get together and we'll do something. But
sounds good.
Thank you so much for joining me, sir. I am Resident of Collinwood. It has been a pleasure, sir. See ya, buddy.
You too. Later.